Well, great to see you. Thanks for inviting me to your beautiful local pub. Yeah, it's lovely. Shame about the very typical British weather. Let's go back to the beginning. Introduce yourself, introduce your business and what you do.
I'm Jon Greenwood. I'm one of the directors of SL2 Group. So we own the brand, the Limmys brand. We're an innovator of kids' swimming products. I've been going since 2018. We manufacture and sell pretty much all sorts of stuff to do with kids swimming all over the world. We're very much an online business at the moment. We do a lot of revenue and business through Amazon, creating a brand that we don't have a physical location.
Yeah, and I bet it was a very interesting time to start a business in 2018. How did that affect things?
We've been in the e-commerce world creating brands and selling online for quite a few years. Actually, the whole pandemic side of things wasn't negative towards us because it actually created a massive boom in the online ecosystem, which, when you're selling a lot of stuff online, obviously that's not a bad thing. And that has actually continued after. So it's set a lot of habits for people's shopping behaviour. So for us as a business, it wasn't a massive issue for us.
Well, look, before 2018 then, what were you doing and where did the idea for Limmys originate from?
This business came about because three of us have had a background in e-commerce, and we saw it as a great opportunity to sort of use our skills and our backgrounds to come in and do something with a type of product that we were passionate about. Starting off focusing very much on the European side of things. We've evolved and grown now, so we sell all the way across Europe, UK, North America. So there's now 12 people in the business. We're all remotely based. We don't have a physical office, so I'm actually the only one that's currently in the UK. And then we've got staff in Slovenia. We've got a team that we've built in South Africa and Cape Town, which we've built this year. And then we've got connections with manufacturers out in China and warehouses dotted around the world, which are used as sort of import hub points for us to bring all our stock and hold our stock in before we then move it around to the different distribution centres. We are truly global. So
this is the unofficial office?
This is the unofficial office, yes.
So we've gone from a pub in Great Linford to your factory in China.
Yeah.
To where? Where do your products go to? Where are you selling to?
All over the world. So as a business, we are about 60% of our business is within Europe. Germany is actually our biggest market. Actually, when we set the business up, one of our big areas that we wanted to look at was actually selling in mainland Europe, particularly in Germany. We've had a lot of success working in the German market before. It's a brilliant market to work in. So we put a lot of effort into the German and European markets as well as the UK market, and that's paid dividends for us as a business. And then we also sell in North America, so we in the US, Canada, Mexico. I've done some work in Japan, in the Middle East.
All over. What I'm hearing is GBP, yen, peso, dollar, euros. And there's a lot of currencies that you're dealing with. How do you firstly mitigate currency risk when dealing with all of these currencies? How do you operate on that international payment level?
You've got to use the right people. So for us, we've got particularly good contacts with accountants and warehouses and everything, and that's all the business running of the business side. But then from a financial perspective, that's where WorldFirst comes in. We've worked with WorldFirst since we first started, and actually WorldFirst has been part of other businesses that we've had before, because it just makes the whole process of managing multi-currencies, paying suppliers, so much easier. It keeps the costs under control, the exchange rates are fantastic, the speed of it is good. Yeah, it just takes a lot of stress out of the whole process. It works for us, and long may it continue like that. It's one less thing that I have to worry about. When we first started out with smaller businesses in this, we would use our own bank, and we would either use international bank transfers through our banks, or PayPal, or Alipay, or various different mechanisms, which are fine on a really small basis, because you don't really feel the pain of the fees and stuff, because what you're moving around is relatively small quantity. But once you get bigger and you need to scale, the solution you need to make it work, it has to scale with you. In the past, the pain points were the costs that traditional banks, I suppose, would put on people for moving money, in between currencies, or moving money to a Chinese bank or whatever were expensive. We became aware of WorldFirst actually fairly early in our journeys. It was actually a recommendation that we'd had from some other people that we knew that had similar businesses. As soon as we realised how it worked, it was like, why are we doing it the old way? And yeah, we've done it this way ever since.
What would you say about WorldFirst makes your life easier?
We know what we're getting. You don't have to think about it so much now. We know what rates we're getting. We know what fees are involved. We're comfortable with the fact that they are as good as we're going to get. I know we can't get, like everybody, you do your due diligence. We know that what we're getting is very good. So you don't have to sit thinking about that anymore because of the way the system's set up, so that you can save all your different payees, and you can schedule stuff. You can get everything turned up. So when a factory wants paying or we've got bills to pay, it's a go in, click, done. And the transfers are so quick now as well that the speed of getting money across now is much better, and that's brilliant from a factory's perspective because they're getting the money quicker, which means they can get on with the jobs quickly.
And who deals with that for you? Who deals with all the finance? Who logs into WorldFirst every day to see your profits going up, your FX rates holding steady?
Yeah, there's a couple of us that do it. So I look after P&L, business profitability, business performance. So I'm involved in that side. I use WorldFirst. I'm looking at extracts. Obviously we take feeds from extracts that go into Xero and go into our bookkeeping systems. So our accountants also obviously work with that data. From a day-to-day payments perspective, we've got someone else, one of my business partners is involved in that, and he's going in and making the payments. But it's not time-consuming because it's all pre-set up. You're basically going in and changing your reference number for your invoices and sending the money. It's managed between a couple of us.
And you find it easy to manage with multiple people?
Yeah, it's never had any issues. Another area that's actually quite helpful for us is the new WorldCards system. A couple of years ago, when this was being moved within WorldFirst, I actually got the call that actually came and met you guys to talk about it. And the whole idea of what would it help if there was basically a card solution as well as just the online banking system side of things. And to us, it's massively beneficial because there's a lot of examples of where you do want to just pay it on a card. And traditionally, if you want to do it, you put it on a credit card or you put it on some other card providers, basically, which can be expensive. Your transaction fees, the exchange rates and stuff are pretty terrible. So when the idea of the card system coming out that was then linked straight back to your account, and you could then utilise the accounts and not have the additional fees involved, that was a bit of a no-brainer for us. So yeah, we've been using that since it came out. It's really helpful. We've moved a lot of our recurring payments, payments for some of our software tools or the standing order type payments. They've all moved across onto that now. Not only is that better from a financial point of view, but it's also less work for us because we don't have to go in and pay the invoices every month like we used to have to do. So yeah, it's worked, and obviously getting some cash back from it. You're not going to say no to that.
What are the other issues that you're facing as a business in the environment that we're living in at the moment?
To continue to grow as a business, you have to keep evolving and keep looking at what opportunities you've got to keep growing the business. We released quite a few new designs of our swim vests and new models of them last year. That's going to be fascinating to see how they go this year. I think they're going to go mad. So there's a big focus on finishing the rollout and the launch of those and getting them into the mainstream. Physical retail placements is the next big step for us, and that's a big part of what my role is for the next year is to get that up and running. So we're having a lot of conversations with retailers in the States at the moment, talking to some people in Europe to see if we can make it happen. That'd be huge for the business. It would take us to the next level.
Well, I think we should put some of your products to use outside in the rain.
Yeah, it's not so good. I mean, one thing I've not actually talked about is about
the product. Let's have a look.
What do I actually do? Our kids' swim vests, swim jackets are a large part of our business. And this is what we actually started with. So our first ever product is this one here. This is the boys' swim vest. So back in 2018, this is where we all began. It's interesting, over the years these have developed, we've enhanced them, come up with new ideas, ways of improving the whole experience of teaching kids, helping kids learn to swim, because that's effectively what these are for. And that's basically where we started. So and this particular one here, what's really cool about them is they're adjustable. So in here you've got these little foam floats which you can take out. So as the kid learns to swim and gets more confident, you take the floats out. And these ones, just as soon as we sort of started selling them, they just went mad. So over the years we've added new ones in, like these ones. So this is the girls version. So this is the first girls one that we launched. And we ended up with 7 different designs, 3 different sizes of the kids ones. These are great, but there was another opportunity for us to keep being innovative, and last year we designed and rolled out our latest evolution of swim vests. They serve the same purpose, to help kids to learn to swim, but they're a different shape and design, because what we realised is that some people want something that they can visually relate to differently as well. So these are actually quite similar in particularly in North America, to the idea of swim vests was fairly unfamiliar. It was all life jacket related. So what we wanted to do was come up with something that's still a swim vest that actually can be used to help kids to swim, but it was more something that could be related to more. The other big advantages to these is in this type of design, they can be more adjustable, so they can fit kids as they learn to grow, adjustable straps, and it can actually be used by a kid for a longer period of time. And we've got 4 designs of these. I think they're going to do really well. And then we also do swimming goggles, for example. These are kids' swim goggles. Do them in different colours. They colour match, so because kids like to be cool. That's one of the big things that we're into as well, as the design. We're very innovative in the design side of things, because we get that kids like to be cool, and parents want their kids to look really cool as well. So we've put a lot of thought into the designs of the products as well. So that's why we do like colour matching swim goggles. So these match with these, for example. So there's a pattern in what we're doing. We've got the pink ones that go with the pink vest, for example. And these are swimming caps for kids. A massive problem, particularly for women with long hair, is to find swim caps that fit. So we've got a whole range of different sized swim caps depending on what size, what volume of hair you've got. So yeah, it's all about understanding the market and developing things that go where the demand is.
And tell me about the testing of these. You were telling me earlier that the factory that you use in China is family run, and they've been using the products on their own children.
yeah, it's quite funny actually. I was out there last year, and obviously I know our contacts in the factory really well. We talk socially as well. It's quite fun. And she sent me a video of her kids in the swimming pool wearing the hat and the jacket. It was just really cool to see.
Where is one of the most interesting places that you've seen Limmys in the wild?
Where have I seen them? I mean, I saw some in Mexico when I was in Mexico last year. It's funny when you see. If I go on holiday now and I see kids, I'm like, you're not wearing a Limmy swim jacket. But every now and again you see, in random places you see people with it. Or I'm having a conversation with somebody who's like, what do you do? And I do the swim jacket. I bought one of them for my kids. I was playing golf with a guy last week. He bought some for his kids, and it's a funny world. I suppose we've been around for a long time now. We've sold a lot of these things. We've got 1 million different families that have bought stuff from us. We're trusted, and people want us to help them go on that journey with their kids.
So over 1 million sold.
Yeah. One of the big challenges of selling things that are particularly for kids is you can take a 2 or 3 or 4 year old kid, and they can be this tall, or they can be that tall, or they can be this wide. And so designing products that actually are both regulatory safe but also comfortable is quite hard. So a lot of work has to go into the design side to make them as comfortable and as fun to wear as possible, but also they still have to be safe. Germany is our biggest market. The swim vests are enormous in Germany. France and Italy and Spain, we sell an awful lot of swim caps, but we don't sell a lot of swim caps in America. Talking to people in different countries, you realise that certain products are just more understood. They're more use. France, for example, is really big for swim caps because there's a lot, swimming is taught at every school, and the kids have to wear swim caps, so they grow up knowing that swim caps is part of their life, whereas in other countries it isn't the same. So we can take what we learn from these different marketplaces and change our strategies. So maybe you want to go into France and push us at an angle, or in the States we'll push a different angle because we understand the audience is a little bit different. For us as a business, we've got things that we want to do to give back as well. So we want to do more work with working with charities, for example. Swim vests are really valuable for kids with autism that struggle to swim, because it's a scary environment, and we've had some amazing experiences where parents are writing to us saying, I can't believe the difference that your swim vest has made to my boy, because he'll now go in the swimming pool and he enjoys himself. So we've got ambitions to try and do a lot of work from a charitable basis, maybe linking up with certain charities to try and help promote swimming for kids with autism, or maybe providing products to schools that are under pressure because they can't afford to buy goggles and swim caps and stuff. So for us, we're fortunate to have done what we've done and get to where we've got to go to, and we can go and do that. And it's an important part of what we do. Being creative and not sitting still and just doing what everyone else does is so important as a business. It doesn't matter what kind of business you are, whether you're producing products like we are, or doing anything else. Don't just follow the crowd. There's so much to be learnt from being, just trying something. Don't be afraid to try, because the worst thing can happen is that you fail and you just get up again and do it again. But there's too many people that don't try because they're too scared of failing, where you should really look at it the other way around. If you fail, it's something you've learned, and you're better off for doing it. I encourage people, take risks, take calculated risks. Don't be afraid to do something just because you're scared of what might happen if it doesn't happen. Because if you don't, then you're never going to find out, are you? I mean, for us, the biggest risk was expanding the business. We had to borrow money to expand the business, and there's a lot of stress and pressure that comes with doing that. But it's paid off for us as a business. We actually used to sell educational toys as well, and they were brilliant. They were very good. They were STEM toys, so for helping kids for learning. And they were very, very successful, but there becomes a point in time where that market can flood, or just becomes too price dominant. The price wars kick in, and unfortunately, it just ceased to be a viable financial thing for us to do. So a big challenge for us was making that decision to stop selling them, and that was actually really hard. It was the right thing to do. So sometimes knowing when to let go is also quite hard, and not cling on to things for the wrong reasons. You can very easily get emotionally attached to stuff when you've got a business, whether that's employees that you've got, or whether it's products you're producing, or whatever, and it can make you make bad decisions because your emotions can have too much of an influence on what you choose to do. The days are gone where you could, the class is the good old days where you could get anything and chuck it on Amazon and make money doing it. Amazon as an ecosystem for us, whereas it's still very one of our dominant revenue stream, is changing all the time, and it's becoming harder and harder to do it. A, because it's getting more competitive, but also Amazon as an operation is changing as well. So there's a lot more emphasis now on sponsored positions and advertising, and to make your products visible, you have to pay for the privilege. And that's becoming a bigger challenge because that takes money. That's an increasing overhead that you have to bear to make your products visible. What's really changing, and we will start to see the difference that it's going to make over the next 2 or 3 years, is how social media and artificial intelligence is going to change the shape of retail, and it will. TikTok, for example, is changing shopper behaviour. How people discover products is starting to change. So as a business, you've got to learn to understand what's going on and go with it, and that can be difficult, especially if you've got no knowledge or background in that kind of area. People are now using AI to discover products. So whereas before you would go to Google and you'd go, look at swim vests or whatever, people now don't do that, or they still do, but there's a growing percentage of people who now go, what is the best swim vest for a 3-year-old kid? Or what's the best pink swim cap that goes with this swim vest? And then they're buying off that recommendation rather than doing the discovery and the depth in discovery. There's a lot of trust that goes into what AI is now feeding back, and that's definitely going to change behaviour. I don't know what you, but if I'm looking for something now, I'm straight onto, whether you use ChatGPT or whatever it is you're using, and it's just become part of daily life for so many people. We as business owners have to understand that and adapt. It's allowing other people to enter markets that they couldn't enter before, because it's shrinking the skills gap that exists, the knowledge gap. So before, if you wanted to sell a particular product and you didn't know a lot about it, it was a barrier to entry. Whereas now, all that information is available. You can go in and your AI, ChatGPT or whatever, can tell you how to do something. You've got to understand that that's happening, but also how can you as a business then leverage on that to keep a step ahead of everybody else? And that's probably the bigger thing to focus on. Don't burn energy worrying about what others are doing. Focus on what you can do to constantly stay ahead. And that's a big part of us as a business, is doing that.